I'm sure you're curious about what could possibly be in this box. In fact, I'll bet anything it's keeping you up at night. So here it is. It was like any other abandoned house. Well, trash everywhere, graffiti, broken glass. But one room stood out, the attic. As we crept closer to the attic stairs, the air grew cold, almost like someone had just turned off the heat. It wasn't the kind of cold that made your nose itch. It was the kind of cold that chilled you to the bone. And if that didn't warn us enough, the floorboards under our feet creaked louder than they should have. A couple years back, a friend and I were checking out an old abandoned farmhouse that was for sale. I could feel everyone's eyes on me waiting for me to open that door. Pushed open the door and entered the attic. We found this. A lot of cobwebs, dirt, some old furniture, but that's not what I expected to see. I thought there would be something up there. After filming some other parts of the house, I returned to the attic. He planned on tearing it down and selling the land to a developer, so he never went into the attic until I showed up. I asked him if he remembered the first time I visited, and him saying that I was the first person ever to go up in that attic. We searched high and low, but we found nothing. On our way back to the house, we stopped by a local library to see if they had any records of Amelia living in the area. He said that was true. The article said that her body had never been recovered. I called in the help of a local diver to search the lake. But unfortunately, the water was too murky and we couldn't find anything. Still, we haven't given up yet. Inside was a leather-bound journal with a small key attached to it. My hands were shaking as I flipped through the pages. She wrote, "Thomas is coming to visit today. I hope he doesn't try to run away with me. My brothers would never allow it." And on the next page, there was another entry. The writing was messy and frantic. "Thomas says we must elope tomorrow. Told him no, but he won't listen. Says he'll come back for me no matter what. What am I going to do?" Everything was written in cursive and was hard to decipher, but eventually I started to make out the words. "I know my family would never approve. I love Thomas more than anything. I hope they understand." She hid her diary, and most importantly, her jewelry in the attic of the farmhouse. Her family found them and put them in the attic. They probably boarded up the door so that no one would ever know. The diary tells us that her family did not approve of Thomas, which is why they kept them apart. I believe that she and Thomas were planning to meet at the lake to elope. But before they could run away together, tragedy struck. She was found and brought back home, Amelia. If you want to see that video, click the link below. Could this be the same Amelia? Did she leave behind some kind of treasure for someone to find? I wish I could have answered those questions, but sadly, the diary doesn't say. All this time we had been searching for, and it was right here in front of us the whole time. I felt like Indiana Jones. For instance, here is this weird hole in the wall that looks to be man-made. He took one look at them and told us that they were coordinates. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. The current owner wanted to clear his name from the title so that he could sell the land. But before he could, the local historical society bought the property so that it wouldn't be destroyed. They're currently working on restoring the house and plan on turning it into a museum, and about her plans for the future. One entry in particular caught my eye. Her hair was flowing in the wind, and her eyes sparkled with joy. I immediately recognized where the picture was taken. It was the same spot where we found the box. Could this be Amelia? And are these her brothers? Maybe even Thomas, she wrote. "Today I will run away from home and meet Thomas at the lake. I will bring my jewelry and hide it in the water. If we're apart, then we can still be together in spirit." Could this be the treasure she was referring to? Using some old maps, we discovered that the coordinates led to a nearby lake. Is Amelia hiding something at the lake? What could it be? Here are some random boards laid out in a row, and here are some strange markings on the floor. They almost look like some kind of map. I pulled out the crowbar from my truck and approached the door. But wait, there's more. I kept looking and found something else. Hidden between two pages was a photograph. As I jammed the crowbar into the space where the doorknob used to be, a loud crash was heard throughout the house. My heart skipped a beat. There was no doorknob either. Instead, there was a circular indent in the wood as if a doorknob had been removed. The whole place was filled with trash, so it was hard to tell how old the door was or when it had last opened. Then my flashlight hit it. Carved into the door frame above the indent was a name. It looked ancient. It read Amelia. Next to her name was a date, August 24th, 1899. So Amelia lived over 100 years ago. Why would she carve her name into a beam in the attic? Did she live up here? Why would she hide up here? Is this why the door was locked? And why did the current owner not know about this? I don't know why, but that name stuck with me. Once we reached the top of the stairs, we could see that there was something covering the entrance. And looking back, I'm glad we left it alone. After all, who knows what kinds of diseases or infestations could have been lurking up there. But there was something about that attic and that name that has stayed with me all these years. I could unshake the feeling that there was a story behind that door, and I had to know what it was. We didn't go in because it was obvious that whatever was in there was not supposed to be touched. No mention of a daughter named Amelia. And she stayed behind? What happened to her? Was that why the door was boarded up? Could she be up there watching me now? I searched online for the history of the farmhouse and found that the original owners had sold the property over 100 years ago and had moved out west to start a new life. As you can probably guess, curiosity got the best of me. The home had changed hands several times since then, but I managed to track down the current owner. I explained my theory to him, and he told me that the house was being foreclosed upon, and that I could have it if I would clean it out. That's when I made this video. As soon as my crew arrived, we went straight to the attic. With every strike of the bar, the air grew colder and the floorboards creaked louder. Finally, the lock gave way. But as we continued to look around, we found more and more things that suggested that this attic may have been used for something other than storage. Then my flashlight picked up something else. Carved into the support beam was the same name we saw on the door, Amelia. But that's not all. He told me that the only reason he bought the property was because it was cheap. To get to the bottom of this, I brought in a historian to help us translate the markings on the floor. My crew and I headed out to the lake to see if we could find whatever it was that Amelia was hiding. The librarian found an old newspaper article that told the tragic tale of a young girl who drowned while swimming in the very same lake that we had just come from. And with that, I knew exactly what we had to do. After searching the lake again during the day, we finally found something, a small metal box half buried in the mud. I couldn't believe it. With shaking hands, I opened the box to find this. It was a diary, and it belonged to Amelia. She wrote about her daily life on the farm. Did she hide her jewelry in the lake so that if she died, her and Thomas could still be together? In the picture, there was a young girl with 2 boys. The girl was beautiful. At the end of the diary, I found another entry that helped me figure out what happened to Amelia. The final entry was dated August 24th, 1899. It read, "Thomas came for me today. We ran away together to be with each other." So it looks like Amelia did run away with Thomas. She tried to hide her diary and valuables in the lake, but it was no use. So what happened to them after this? Where did they go? What did they do? As for the house, it was torn down a few weeks later. If you ever get the chance, go visit. It's amazing to see how far the restoration has come. Speaking of which, it's time for me to go. I've got a long drive ahead of me. Thanks for joining me on this adventure.